Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining me today. My name is Leah Holtrop, and today I will be covering how to manage your volunteer workforce during an event using RAPID TAG. We will also touch on the SalamanderLive system to view the roster tile and reports that contain volunteer data. All right, so just want to give a little brief overview on what the RAPID TAG solution is for those that may be new to this. So the RAPID TAG solution is generally used to check in resources without credentials. So these could be planned resources that you choose not to print permanent credentials for, or unplanned resources that show up to assist in your event. When it comes to volunteer management, RAPID TAG is going to be that perfect solution to capture and track these people as they check in and out of an event. So why RAPID TAG versus any of our other solutions for volunteer management? Well, as you can see here, RAPID TAG was built for volunteer management. It is one of only 2 of our software that allows you to scan a non-Salamander ID, such as a driver's license, vehicle registration, and more. There's a ton of other different types of IDs that you can scan through RAPID TAG as well. With RAPID TAG, volunteers can be checked in by scanning their driver's licenses or other acceptable IDs. I do have a slide that has a list of all of that, so I'll show you guys that in a bit. You can also manually enter in their information. And then once all this is done in the system, you can print them an event-specific credential. And thus, what this does is it makes RAPID TAG a tagging and tracking solution in one. So the RAPID TAG credential, as you can see here, here's just a quick example. It's going to contain some basic information on the resource as well as an interoperable barcode that can be scanned by any of our Salamander solutions. So that's what you're going to see here. Just note that this barcode is going to be a static barcode. So all data that is collected through RAPID TAG is sent to SalamanderLive. So this is going to be in the context event. So all that data that's collected through RAPID TAG is sent to SalamanderLive to be shared with all other joined Salamander tracking solutions. And what this does is it creates that common operating picture so that you'll know how many people you have there, what are they doing, where are they located, and what their status is. All right, and then this slide here is what is scannable through RAPID TAG. And when I say RAPID TAG and the version I'm going to work on today, it's going to be version 5. So if you have an older version, 4 and under, it's recommended that you upgrade to version 5. Version 5 just has a lot more benefits, such as two-way syncing, an updated reader, and then, of course, there is rate information in there as well, too. But the biggest one is going to be the updated reader and the two-way sync. So what I'm going to do now is going to jump into RAPID TAG. So if you have your RAPID TAG computers, feel free to follow along if you want to. You're going to open up, log in, follow along if you'd like to. If not, you can just watch me as I go through the demonstration here. All right, so here I've already logged into to RAPID TAG. So again, version 5 does require to log in. So when you log in, you'll see your welcome and then your username at the top here. So what you're going to do is you're going to first start the event. So we're going to start the event. We're just going to call this volunteer manage. And then just go ahead and click Start. Okay. Now I didn't mention this earlier, but and this is going to be done before you actually start the event. I already did all this beforehand, but I'll just show you this real quick. So under File and Options, there's a couple different settings that you can set for your RAPID TAG, so that it's grabbing the information that you need to when you're looking at the assignment, when you're printing, and then of course making sure your scanner is all set up. So one thing I recommend under the Sync tab is making sure you set this up to 1-minute intervals. By default, it's set to manual. Scanners, of course, it's recommended to use RAPID TAG with a USB scanner. It comes with the kit. For printing, there's a couple different designs you can choose from. For today's training, I'm going to print through PDFs. You can see the actual card design that populates through. But in here, you can select your different types of IDs that you can print. So for volunteers, again, we're looking at those spontaneous volunteers or those planned ones without credentials. Say 20% of the time if they're going to be a part of your event. If they're going to be more than that, then you probably want to make them a permanent credential through Salamander Live. But this is more going to be for that temporary basis. In here, you can select your different designs. You'll see that these are the ones that are listed for Rapid Tag. Okay, so you got your 2x3, your 3x5 in here. You can select that for each of your different types of resources that you're looking at printing. And then the assignment. So this is the assignment I put in here. So this is something you can change for every event. So this is what I put in, is just checked in. So this is the default assignment that everybody's going to be checked into. Okay. And then enabling checkout. So what this does is it allows your Rapid Tag user to also scan their barcode, so their ID, a second time, which will move them into the off-scene assignment. So something I also recommend on here, again, this all depends on your process and procedures that you're going to have for your Rapid Tag users. So again, all this should be done before you start your event, so just do a double check on all this. Because as you see here, we started the event and now everything's grayed out on here on the assignment side. All right, so in here it's simple as scanning a driver's license or any of those other barcodes, as you can, or any of those other different types of IDs. So vehicle registration, was there gun permits, etc. You can scan through version 5. So I'm going to scan a ID here. Unfortunately, I'm recording this, so I'm not going to scan in my driver's license, but I will scan in this one that I've kind of created. So scan the driver's license in here. First things first, what you'll want to do in here is to select the organization. So in Rapid Tag in here, you're going to see that there's going to be some list of organizations that you've used in the past if you've used Rapid Tag before. If not, your organization list may be blank. It's probably going to just have yours. So if your volunteer organization is not in here, you'll want to click on the new and add that volunteer agency in here. So there's the new button right here. You can select that and you can create an organization in here. So this organization database is separate. So this is going to be saved locally on your Rapid Tag computer. Again, this is separate than what you would have within your organization database within Salamander Live. Okay, so these are going to be those organizations that will be checked in through Rapid Tag. So ID number, recommend to leave it as it is. This is a system generated one. Put in the name of the volunteer agency. I'm just going to put in here volunteer agency. I'm so creative today. Type on here, you can select whichever type it is. So on here, I just got volunteer in here. If it's unknown, there's an unknown and there's an other in here. Country and then your state. So I'm out of Minnesota, so that's what I'm going to select as Minnesota. And then click Finish. Once you click Finish, that volunteer agency will be added to your organization tab. So on the main page on this, there's an organization tab, which I'll show you where that is. But now we've tied this person, Alan Davis, to the volunteer agency. So if you wanted to, you can stop right here, and then you can just finish and print off this a tag for this person. However, when you're looking at tracking volunteer activity and then for reimbursement, there are other information that FEMA does require for reimbursement, and that we also recommend for you to enter in here so that there's some way to contact the individual. There is a report that you'll be able to pull within Salamander Live that contains the person's contact information. So again, phone number is what we recommend, an email address, the driver's license should pull up when you scan in a driver's license. The address depends on the type of driver's license that you're scanning. If it's any of the real or the enhanced IDs, like the real IDs or enhanced IDs, the address will pull through. If you have an older ID, I know my older ID did not pull in the address. I just got my ID updated. So now when I scan it, it does pull up in here. But again, it's just going to be based off of what's embedded within your driver's license barcode. Obviously, if you're scanning in any other type of IDs, the address may not be included and encoded into that barcode on that ID. So that would not populate in here. So in this case, you would ask the individual what their address is. You can enter that in. So again, I'll put that in here. Okay. So you'll see in here the assignment is checked in. So this is the default assignment. You'll see down here there's the off scene. That was because within the assignment tab in the option settings, we allowed your rapid tag, my rapid tag here, to check out individuals, and that's why you've got the 2 assignments. Note that rapid tag can be utilized with our other solutions such as Track, the Track app, and Command. If this event here is joined with the Track app and Command, those assignments will also populate through, as well as any resources that's been checked in through the Track app and Command. The reason for that is because this is version 5. Version 5 allows a 2-way sync. So it's sending information, as you can see here in my production status. You'll see that it's syncing every minute. It's sending my data up to Salamander Live and then grabbing any new information for this event and any joined applications to this event back to my rapid tag computer. The only type of data that you would not see within your rapid tag is if you are also using rapid tag evac, or if you have any evacuees or patient information. That information will not pull through into your rapid tag. So we've got our volunteering here checked in is the assignment they're going into. In here you'll see with version 5 there is a rate field. So this is a rate that you can enter in for this person. This rate will be used within the cost report. So there's a few cost reports that you can view this information. So if you want to put in their reimbursement rate for volunteers, you can do that. I can't remember what it is. I think it's like $27 and some cents. So I'm just going to put in here $27. For each of the individuals that you check in here, you're able to also set in a expiration date. So if your event is running for a full week and you're running your event for that full week where you're not closing it out, you can have that expire at the end of the week. So this person, depending what kind of tag that you're printing, more likely if it's a longer event, you probably want to print probably on a hard card versus a sticky label. But if it's only that for one day, then you might, again, it depends on your event and what kind of media you're going to select on here. But for your expiration date, you can choose whatever date that you want, and then you could put the time in here. So the time is required. So by default, it's going to put the time in which you started the event. But this here would be, when would this ID tag expire? Very similar to when you are printing permanent ID tags from Salamander Live, where you're able to put in an expiration date. So in this case, I'm going to put in $2,100. Again, this only uses military time in this time field. Other fields that are optional, but we recommend you filling out, is the person's title, their role for the event, and then if they're going to be in a specific location or working a specific location only. This can be used more for like security if it's more of a secure event and you've got volunteers that are assisting and you want them to be confined into one building only, and they can't go into building C or something because that requires higher security or something. So you can utilize these fields for whatever you want. But in this case, I'm going to put the title in here as volunteer. What their role is, I'm just going to put their role as a greeter. That's what their job is. And then location, I'm going to put in here building. B. That's what their role is. They're going to be a greeter in building B. Once you're done completing this information, simply click Finish in here. And I forgot to mention, the driver's license information, yes. So in this case, I'm gonna click Finish. Now it's going to say that you do have the option to take a picture as well too if you'd like. So there's an option for you to right-click and capture a picture from here. So you just have to change your source. So if you've got an external camera on your computer, your laptop, you can set that up, and then you can take pictures of individuals, and that will also print on the ID tag. Once you're done, just simply click Finish. So I'm printing to PDF, so technically this would go straight to your printer that's connected. In this case, I'm going to just save this. So now this person is checked in. You'll see this person's been checked in. You'll see the role, location, issued, expiration date on here. Let me pull up the design so you can see this. So here's a design that populates on here. So you'll see the name of the event, the person, the organization which they're affiliated with, their name, their title. You'll see their role, which I put in here, greeter, the location, building B, and the expiration, and then the barcode. So again, this barcode is interoperable, so it can be scanned into any of our other Salamander solutions. So Track app, Tag app, Command, even another Rapid Tag, or you can also scan this to Rapid Tag evac as well. So the design I chose is a 2x3, so this is a hard card that would be printing. Now, if you have pictures on your design, you do have to select a different, if you're taking pictures for your event for all your people, you'll have to select a different design that allows a picture to be printed. For this particular design, there is no spot for a picture, so that's going to be important to notate. So now I've got that person checked in. So again, same process, right? So this is syncing up to Salamander Live. Now you've got your volunteer in here. So you will continue to do this for each of your volunteers that are coming in. Again, these are volunteers that are not within your Salamander system. So we're not talking about CERT volunteers. Normally certified volunteers, if they're going to be assisting with an event, you probably will have them in your permanent Salamander Live database and print them out on hard card. But again, if they're only going to be assisting in maybe 10, 15, or 20% of the time for your events, you may choose to utilize Rapid Tag instead for that to create them a temporary ID versus a permanent ID. All right. So that is scanning in a ID and then adding in the person. Of course, if that person comes and they don't have a ID with them or any other ID, you also have the option to manually add the person. Simply just click on the Add button right here, and then you can fill in the rest of the information. Notate at the very top that volunteer agency that we created before is going to be the default now. So you want to always double check that, because once you save and print this, you cannot go back and change that person's organization. So I know it's not like whited out from here. It's kind of grayed out, so it seems like you can't change it, but you are. So it's a drop down. Just note that it has a drop down, so you can select it from here if they're from a different agency. Okay. You'll see that greeter is in here for the role, and location is also automatically filled in as well. If those are not, you can just delete those and then add something else. As you start working through your Rapid Tag, you'll notate that each of the different titles that you enter in here will be saved in a drop-down. Same with your roles and location. So this is just going to be for this event. Once you end the event, these little drop-downs right here will disappear, and then you'll have to create a new list for your next event. Okay. any questions so far? I'll open the line up for questions on checking in volunteers through Rapid Tag. Okay. Now we're talking about people that don't have Salamander credentials, but note that Rapid Tag, you are still able to scan in those that do have Salamander credentials. I know some agencies use this for that purpose. Maybe it's because they don't have the Track app. So they're printing off everybody a permanent ID tag from Salamander Live. Know that you are still able to scan in those barcodes into Rapid Tag if that's how you're managing and checking in people for your event. So I'm just going to scan in a barcode from here. So I know this is not a volunteer barcode, but I'll just scan this so you can see. So if you see in here, I just scanned in this Salamander credential. So again, this is a Salamander Live credential. You'll see that it pulls in the person's organization from that barcode on their ID tag, their ID number, their first name, last name, and then their title, and then their qualifications. In this case, the rest of the information in here, if they don't have this within their record, it's not going to pull through. So you can fill in the rest of the information if you'd like to for this person. You don't have to if you don't want to. This stuff will pull in if it's already embedded within that barcode. You'll see in here it's automatically put in the checked-in assignment. You don't need to do an expiration date anymore on this because they already have their ID tag. They have a permanent ID tag. Their role is not a greeter. Maybe it's not a greeter. Maybe they're in a different building. Maybe their role is security. They're in building C. Rate. The only time you would ever enter a rate on here is if you know that they don't have a rate within their individual personnel record within Salamander Live. If you enter a rate here for someone that you scanned in that has a Salamander Live credential, this rate that you enter here will override whatever is within their individual profile. So in the cost reports, it's going to calculate using this rate. So we don't recommend you entering a rate in here for anybody that's that has a permanent Salamander Live credential, and just in the case that they have a rate already attached to their record. Also, in this case, you would not need to print off an ID tag since they already have one. So in this case, you would just uncheck this print when finished so you're not wasting your supply. And then simply click Finish on here. So now you've got this person that's been checked in. So again, you've got your two different options in here. Now, a couple things I want to talk about when it comes to if you're utilizing multiple Rapid Tags. So as you know, you can purchase multiple Rapid Tag computers, have them installed in two separate or multiple computers. So let's say you have 3 Rapid Tag computers. You're gonna have 3 check-in stations for your volunteers. Maybe it's a large-scale event that you're gonna have a bunch of volunteers come in and assist, and you have 3 computers set up with Rapid Tag. So they're all checking in people at the same time. In that case, you want to make sure that you join those events together within Salamander Live, which is going to be extremely important. So I've got Salamander Live up here, and I don't have another Rapid Tag up and running. But if I had another event, you would see that in here. They would all, try to keep a consistent naming convention for your event, so that whoever is managing this on the back end knows exactly which events to join together. So in this case, you would see the name of the event, the time it started, and then making sure that you're looking at the application. So in this case, if I wanted to join these two together because they're both Rapid Tag, they're the same event, I would just click on this, select the one that you want to be the parent. So if you like one event name over another, select that one as the first one because this will now be the parent. And any that is selected afterwards will be merged with that event. You'll see at the very top there's going to be a join button. Simply click on that, and then it's going to tell you that you're joining the two together, and then to confirm by clicking join. Once you join, it's going to merge the two information together. So I'm just going to do this. I know that I don't think there's any data for that 315 one. But you'll see in here, it's emerged in here, and now we should see data that's populating in for both events. Okay. I see there's a question that populated. Let me see. The ZC100 printers have the capability to print off a photo if attempt to take and add one. Oh, if you attempt to take and add a photo. I'm trying to remember the ZC100 printers. No, that's a label printer. So, let me see here. It's a label printer. So the 3x5 is this one here. Oops, let me go in here. The 3x5. Let me go in here to 3x5. So there is a 2x3. So you see in here, there's a 2x3 Rapid Tag photo that you can select. But then that's 2x3. But if you're printing off ZC100, that's a label printer, so that you're looking at the 3x5. 3x5 does not have a picture option. That is correct. Does anybody else have another question on this? Now my computer is pulling up all these different other designs on here. Normally you would not see this. The reason why mine is pulling up all these other designs is because I also have Print Control installed on my computer. Print Control is the software for printing ID tags through Salamander Live. So I've got all software in here. That's why it's pulling all of the other ID tags in here. But generally you would have Rapid Tag installed on one computer and no other software, and you would just simply see the Rapid Tag designs in here. Okay. Lisa, hopefully that answered your question. You cannot join two events created in the live though. Yes, you can. You can join two events created in Salamander Live. The ones that you can't join is two commands that's created through the same computer. So that's the only one that you can't do, and also with plans. If you have the plans feature, you can't join two plans together. So those are the two outliers for joining. Ah, okay, yes, plan events. Yep, plan events. The reason why is because you're creating that plan already, so it has a set roster for people and equipment and collections that you've already added, and also you've got your chart already created. So if you merge them two together, it just confuses the system, and so it makes it harder for it to separate the two. So as of today, no, you cannot join two plans together. Any other questions on this? Any other questions? All right. Now, something I want to talk about in here, if you're using multiple Rapid Tag computers and you're joining them and merging that data together, note that the title, role, location, issue and expiration date, some of this information is not going to populate through. So if you're having all of your Rapid Tag users complete this information for all volunteers that are being checked in, and then you merge the data together, this data that they're collecting is not going to pull through on the Rapid Tag on the other Rapid Tag computers. So that's just something that it does not pull through. You'll still see the name, the ID, and the assignment, but you're not going to see any of the individual information in here. Okay. Now for volunteers, you do also have other things that you can enter in on here. You have equipment on here, if you have collections on here. So again, when we're looking at volunteer management, this can be for any type of event, right? It could be for if you have a vaccination clinic and you have volunteers that are coming in to be greeters. But you can also use this for, let's say, for natural disasters. Let's say there's a tornado that came through, and then you have a bunch of community members that are coming in to assist with cleanup or things like that, and they're bringing their own equipment. You are able to track and account for the equipment that they're bringing in. You can manually enter that into the equipment side here, or you can also create it as a collection. So if that person is bringing in their piece of equipment and they're going to be using that piece of equipment, let's say it's a backhoe and they're removing debris. They're going to be the operator of that piece of equipment, and that equipment will always be with them. You can create them in as a collection instead. So these processes right here are going to be a little bit more manual, especially for equipment, because there's really no other barcodes on equipment that we would be able to scan. So you can go in here and manually add that piece of equipment. You'll see the similar fields on here that's required is ID, description, so name of the equipment, or you can a brief description of the equipment, and then the organization. So again, this would be, you know, who owns that piece of equipment. Okay. So you can enter that in, and then you'll be able to check that in. So you'll know exactly that you have this piece of equipment available on scene if needed. When you're looking at collections, the first part of this has to be done manually. So if you click on the collections tab and then you click add, it's going to require you to enter in the name of the collection. So there's got to be a name for the collection. There's an ID. So if I put on here a name of the collection, I'm going to put on here cleanup crew. I'm going to put cleanup crew 1. You can change this to CC, oops, I didn't mean to do that, CC1, and then change this right here to cleanup crew. Whatever you want to do it as. Okay. So the ID, once you type in there, it also puts the same as the name. You can choose it to be the same, or you can make it different. Totally up to you. Designation on here, you have your option to select. Again, it's not required, but if you wanted to put on here, you definitely can. Assignment will always be checked in. Their role, what is their role in here? So, of course, it says it in their name, so clean up or debris removal, whatever you want to put in here. The organization in which they belong to. So I'm just going to select a volunteer agency. Again, you still have the new button over here to create something else. Maybe they're from the city, coming to assist. There's a NIMS type for that. Kind. So you'll see all different types of kinds in here. If you want to put an expiration date, again, you can choose to put this for this collection. And location, if they're going to be doing debris removal in a specific zone, you could put that in there if you wanted to. So I'll just put this on zone A. Click next. Once you click next, you'll see that there's a collection, and then you're able to add in your individual resources for that collection. So that includes people and equipment. From here, you can scan in their driver's licenses if you wanted to. Or you can manually add. So just make sure if you're doing a manual add, you make sure that's highlighted, and then click the add button. If you're scanning, it doesn't really matter if you're on personnel or equipment. You can just scan in the barcode. So I'm scanning this barcode right here if I can read it. Barcode's not reading. So I'll just do a manual add on here. So again, you'd fill in the rest of her information, right? Phone number, email, same as before, driver's license, address, etc., and then the rate in here. So again, you would select the organization that person's from. Maybe they're a cleanup crew and they're from the state, or they're a cleanup crew that you've created, but they're all from different organizations. So that's why you'll see another option to add the organization in here. So again, we'll just select volunteer agency. Okay. So if you want to put a different title in there, you can put a title. And here I'm just putting her in as a volunteer. So you'll see the role and the location has been set. Again, this is set from the collection screen. You can put her rate in here. So I'm just put $27 and then click next. So now you'll see that she's been added into the system. So you can do that for each person, and you can also do that for equipment as well. You see equipment, you'll be able to add that in here. So I'm just going to put here. So if I add it in here, click next, so you can see in here. Now we've got our collection. So you can add another person if you wanted to in here. Let me just add another person so you can see what you can do with your collection. So volunteer. Okay, 27, volunteer. You'll see the name populates in there. Okay, and then click next. And now there's 2 of them. So one thing with your collections, and this is something you can of course do within Command as well too, but with your collections or your teams that you're creating here, you're able to select the leader. So at the top here, you can click the little drop down, and then you can make select whoever is the leader. It's going to bold that person. So let's say Charlotte is the leader of this group, so it's going to make her as the leader. So in this case, when you're looking through Command, if this syncs up through Command, and you're also using Command for your event, Charlotte's name in this case would be bolded on your within your assignment for this collection. Once you're done entering that collection in, you have your options. So you've got 2 options at the bottom here. So you have a print when entered. So what this option does is going to print 1 ID tag for the entire collection. So that ID tag is going to say Collection Cleanup Crew 1 and 1 barcode. Within that barcode is going to contain all the information for the people and equipment within that collection. The other option on here is collection members. So collection members on here is what it's going to do is going to print an individual ID tag for each of the people as well. So just in case if this team gets broken up, they at least have their individual ID that they can still get scanned and moved to different and reassigned. So I'm just going to click finish on here, as you can see what this looks like. So now this is going to send information over to my printer, in this case PDF. There's my spooler. You'll see here that my cleanup crew has been added, so let me just collection 1. Okay, so you'll see the cleanup crew. You'll see it's added in here under collections. Let me just do the other 2. This is since I selected all 3 of them. Okay, you'll see there's an icon next to it. Do my 3rd one. One more. Okay, so you'll see in here there's an icon right here. It looks like a little chart. So that right there is a signifier that this is a collection, and you will see that throughout the equipment and personnel side. So you see in here this piece of equipment, it'll let you know that this piece of equipment is part of a collection. So if you look under the assignment is going to show the collection name, not where that collection or team is in regard to an assignment. So you have to go into here, so you look at backhoe, it says it's part of the Cleanup Crew 1. So you have to go to your Collections tab and look up Cleanup Crew 1, the name, and then you'll look over and you'll see that it's checked in. Same thing with personnel as well too. Okay. So again, all this information is being sent up to Salamander Live, and of course your track apps and then your other rapid tag computers, and then command. So any questions on this before we take a look at this information in Salamander Live? Okay, so I'm just going to refresh my Salamander Live on here. All right, so here's my event, my volunteer management training event. So there's a couple ways you can view this information. You can click on the checkbox and then click on reports, or you can go into the actual event itself, which will take you to the event dashboard. So the event dashboard on here, you'll see this is something I covered a couple months ago, but there are some changes that we've done with the event dashboard. So for those that may be newer to Salamander Live, you'll see that this is some of the changes that we've done, or maybe you're a veteran user and you haven't used it for a while, you'll see that there's some changes in here. So under the summary, you'll see we've added some more information on here to show you what events have been joined together. So in this case, you would see if you had 3 rapid tag computers, you would see 3 different events on here, and it should show in there that it's an internal join. As you know, you are able to do a pin join as well too. Pin joins are mostly for external joins, so this is for organizations or accounts, so or organizations outside of your permissions, or accounts or organizations, I should say, organizations outside of your account that you don't have access to. Let's say you're doing a joint event with the county over. You have 2 separate Salamander Live systems, but you're doing a mutual event. You're able to still join your events together, see the data collected from the event, but still keep all your data private and secured and separate, meaning that they won't be able to see all your people, your equipment and collections, etc. They'll only be able to see what's ever been checked in and joined within that event. So another one I want to talk about is the roster tile. Big piece that comes with managing of people, right? Whether that be volunteer or other types of responders or resources. So in this case, if your let's say individuals, your volunteers forget to check out, this roster tool is a great tool that you can use to fix their times. And I didn't walk through this on Rapid Tag, but I want to make sure I show you guys this real quick here, is that you are able to scan in their ID tag a secondary time. So you'll see in here, this is Alan Davis' ID. So here's his barcode. You never want to scan in his driver's license again, okay? If you scan in his driver's license a second time, it's going to create another record for him. It's going to create a different ID with the same information. So you don't want to do that. Once that person's within the system, only start utilizing his printed ID tag going forward. So in this case, if I wanted to scan this person out, simply let's say we're using Rapid Tag for a simple check-in, check-out for this event. All I do is I scan his ID a second time, and you'll see that he's immediately put to the off-scene assignment. Again, that can only happen if under your options window, you click this checkbox to enable checkout. So this has to be done. For the checkout, the assignment is automatically off-scene. So off-scene is the only assignment that actually stops the clock and stops costs from accruing. So I wanted to quickly show you that. Question. So a question popped up. In the case of scanning a person's ID a second time, is that only within the same event? Are you referring to scanning within Rapid Tag or scanning through track and command? Because how it is scanned through track and command is going to be different because they don't have that immediate checkout option. Same event. So if I scan his ID tag a third time, it will check him back in, put him back into that checked-in assignment. You're welcome. So I'll show you that one more time. So here's his ID. You see I scanned. This is the third scan for his ID, okay? If this is third scan, it's going to immediately put him into the checked-in assignment. Now, you are able to do manual edits as well too if you need to. So underneath here, let's just take a look at Mr. Bryant Humble here. I can click on his name, click edit, and I can go in here and I can move him off scene from here. You'll see that the assignment also includes the collection. So if you're moving people, if you create the collection first and then you're moving people to that collection, you can do that as well. So let's say you check in a whole bunch of people and you decide that they are going to be a part of this collection. You can add them in through it manually from here. If you're not utilizing Rapid or Track app or Command, you can do it right from Rapid Tag. So I can put this person directly into the off-scene assignment, click Finish, and then it's going to move that person to the off-scene assignment. And I didn't mean to print the ID tag. So that's one thing that you want to make sure that you do if you're changing assignments, is making sure that you uncheck the checkbox down here. Okay. So you'll see I've moved him to off scene. In this case, if you're looking to reprint ID tags, you can simply click on his name and then click print. And that can reprint an ID tag right from here. Okay. All right, so I'll go back to Salamander Live. So I'm going to refresh this because we've changed up some of the assignments for some of the individuals in here. So let me just scroll down to the roster. So you'll see in the roster here, you'll see I've got my individuals in here. So Brian, you'll see he's off scene, Alan, etc. So the roster tile has two purposes, right? Purpose number one is to give you a roster or a list of everybody that's a part of your event that's been checked in. Again, when we say checked in, either through Rapid Tag, Track, or Command. In this case, we're doing just solely a Rapid Tag event, so this is going to be all pulled through Rapid Tag. The other purpose for the roster tile is to go in and fix times. So that's what we talked about earlier. So if I wanted to go in here, I could go in here and fix times. You do have to have a specific permission, so you have to be an administrator in order to manually edit times in here. So administrator, when I say administrator, you'll see that there's a couple different roles that have the admin name in it. So administrator, administrator no security, and org admin. Those are the ones that you're able to go in here and edit times. So you'll see in here the plus button, it says add manual move. That's what you want to do. So you have to select the name first. So let's say we want to put Henry Charles off scene. He forgot to check out at 12:45. So in this case, I can click on the checkbox. I can click on the plus button. This is going to open the manual log form, and I can go in here and I can change his time. So you can't do a future time, so you can only do a past time. So I'm going to hit today's date. So let's say 12:45. The time here only accepts regular time, not military time. Put in PM, select the assignment. You'll see the assignment's going to populate through. Put off scene, understand, so click the checkbox, and then the save button activates. Click save. And now you'll see that that's an immediate change. This also works if the person forgot, let's say you wanted to track their movement from assignment to assignment. If they forgot to check into a specific assignment, you're also able to use this for that as well. So you can track their activity. Okay, so that is the roster tile. I want to make sure I covered that because that's a big part of managing your volunteer hours for all your people. Okay, and of course you've got your burn down in here. Burn down, this would only populate if you put in rates for your people. So through Rapid Tag, if you're utilizing Rapid Tag only, making sure that you enter in a rate for that. If you're not concerned about cost and not putting rates in, then you don't have to worry about the burn down. Okay. So for reports, there's a couple of different reports you can take a look at when it comes to volunteers and all your people. So you've got these summary ones. There's just going to be some basic information, time in, time out, lapse time. But the one I really want to focus on is people snapshot, and then you've got the people cost report. So people snapshot, this is the one report that contains address information for all your volunteer workforce. So let me just pull this up, make this bigger so you guys can see this. So you'll see the event name, start time, so when it started, the person's current assignment. So this is not going to show all the different assignments that they've been moved to. This is going to just show their current assignment. Their name, their ID. Again, this is a CSV file. So you'll want to change this to, if you want to look at their ID number, you want to change this to number. Just move the decimal point over. Their title. So again, this is the phone number that you've entered into Salamander Live, or the email or phone number that's within their Salamander Live profile if you scan it in a Salamander Live credential. So you can see the address in here. Driver's license number, if that was captured by scanning a driver's license. Their birth date, and then their role. So whatever role you entered in for them will populate in here. Their location, if they're part of a collection, and that collection ID. The agency which they're part of. Their time in, and then their elapsed time. So you'll see the elapsed time on here is going to be by seconds, and then it's also going to show by by seconds, and then you'll see the hour and minutes on here. Okay. So again, the elapsed time is the amount of time that has passed since they've checked in, so from their time in. So this is one report I want to show you guys that contains a lot of information that the other reports do not. The other report I want to talk about is this activity cost report. You'll see there's a CSV version, but there's also a PDF and Excel version. I like the CSV version. You can select the rate. The rate that you're going to pull if you're looking at cost information for your rapid tag people is standard. Just note that if you pull up any of these other standby, overtime, other, it would be using whatever rates that's been entered in for their individual profile. So this is if you use rapid tag to scan in Salamander Live credentials, meaning that those people have individual rates within their profile already. You can look at these different reports. Just know that it's going to take the overtime rate, multiply it by the entire time that they were there for that event. There is no logic that's been built behind the scenes to calculate these correctly, because the system doesn't know what you consider as overtime. Is that anything over 8 hours, anything over 40 hours a week, whatever, whatever that is. So standard, I'm going to run the report. Here's the report. Let me just make this big. So this one does show all of the movements, so all of the different timestamps for this individual. Okay. So you'll also see the rate in here as well, since we selected the cost report. So again, you'll have email and phone number. If they're part of a collection, their assignment, their check-in time, check-out time. Assignment time, so this is going to be broken off based off of the time they spent within each of these different tasks or assignment. And then you'll have their total assigned time, so a combination of everything together. And then it'll let you know if it used an account rate or the standard rate. So the standard rate in this case is whatever you entered in for that, or whatever is within that person's profile within Salamander Live. It's also going to be the rate that you entered in for rapid tag. It's going to use that to calculate the cost as well too. The account rate in this case, the account rate for this is is based off of what you have set for Salamander Live. So in Salamander Live here, you have the option to set a default rate under settings. Again, this is only accessible by the parent organization for the account, and they have to be an administrator. So you'll be able to set this up right here for default rates. Okay. In this case, it's shown up as 0 in this case. And then the cost at the bottom over here. So standard, they have an overtime rate, etc. And I'll show you their cost. Okay. Any questions on the reports that's available for Rapid Tag that has your volunteer information? So again, you can manipulate these reports as you need to and then send that in for reimbursement for your volunteer activity. Any questions? No questions? All right. Well, that does conclude today's training for volunteer management. We covered just Rapid Tag and Salamander Live. I know I did this last year, and I also covered the Track app and a little bit of Command on here, but got feedback to kind of just focus on one solution. So that's how I changed up this training, just really just focus on Rapid Tag itself. But if you are using this as a total solution, as what I shown here on this PowerPoint right here, where you have other solutions such as Track. Let me see here. Where's my this right here. This right here. If you're using it as a total solution with our other solutions, then yes, there's different components that touches. You know, when you're using Rapid Tag, it also touches Command, also touches the Track app. And then, of course, all that is going to be synced up to Salamander Live. So, all right. If there are no questions, I just want to thank you all so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. Hope you guys can join me back next month. I'll be covering a different topic next month. So, all right. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day.